Hello everyone, welcome back to my 4-Star School YouTube channel. In today's lesson, we are going to build these ebooks application using the Flutter. First, I will give you a quick demo, the final project you're going to build after you finish this tutorial. And we are going to build this Staggered view using the third-party library. And also we can select different tabs. Since I didn't implement any stagger view for these audiobooks, and also we have the button navigation, and when you click one of those books, you're able to navigate to the detail for this book. And I think that's it. If you are new to my channel, feel free to reach out to my channel page. In there you will find a Dart programming tutorial, a Flutter tutorial for the beginners, and also a Flutter UI from scratch tutorial. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, sum up my content, as well as open the notification so you won't miss out the latest Flutter tutorial. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. So first, let's open our terminal and navigate to our workspace. In there, we can use a Flutter command, create this ebooks application, and hit enter. Just wait a few seconds, and then we go to the Visual Studio Code. In here, we click this open folder and select the workspace of our project and click these ebooks and hit this open. And I think you're able to run this project. And first is going to analyze this entire project, and I think just wait a few minutes. Okay, so let's create an assets folder for this project, and we are going to import our assets. It contains the image we're going to use for this project, and open this purpose PC YAML file. Go line 61, and we're going to uncomment those out. We're going to change it a little bit, and we add the prefix SS folder in this case, and we save, and we can close this one as well. So we're going to create a folder under this left folder. So first one will be our models folder, and then it's our pages folder and contents folder. Right, inside this pages folder we have a home page, and we also have a detail page. And inside this home folder, we're going to create this home.dart file and also a widgets folder. And here I'm going to create a state for widget, because we're going to keep track of the index the user select and render a different view, right? So I'm going to create a stateful widget for our home page and import library, make this key nullable, and for it is a child, we can replace with our scaffold widget. We have this body attribute. We can just place a center widget with text as a child, indicate this is our home page, right? And we can save. And then we can remove everything under this line 32. We can remove everything, and in here we're going to replace this one with our home page. we built just now. We don't need the theme data. Also change this to Flutter, ebooks, app, and we can save. And I think that's it. And we can run this entire app on our emulator. So just click this run button, because this will be our first time, so it took a little bit longer. Just wait few minutes. So after few minutes, you will see this homepage show on the screen. This indicates we have successfully set up our initial project. And let's create a colors file under this constant folder. And we can call it colors.dar. And here we're going to use a color for our font, and I think it's a dark purple. I'm going to define here. And in this material app, we're going to remove the debug banner. Going to show debug. I'm going to set to false, and also we're going to hide the statistic bar. So we're going to use assistant Chrome set an UI overlay style, and we can use system UI overlay style and make it constant. Inside, we're going to change this status bar, the color to transparent. Okay, and we can hit save. And I think we are good in this point, and we can start from this app bar. So let's go back to this home page, which is this home.dar. And in this home.dar, we're going to implement this app bar. So for the app bar, we're going to use a built-in widget, which is called app bar. We have this leading attribute, title attribute, and also the action attribute for this header. Okay, so inside this scaffold, we have app bar attribute, so we can write a method build app bar, right? And we can create this method. You're going to return an app bar. We can make this constant. Right, and we're going to change it a little bit, because by default the app bar would have a blue color, so we're going to change it to white, and also remove this elevation in the app bar. So let's define some attribute inside this app bar. So the first one would be I think it's the background color, and we can use colors.y, right? And the second one, I think we could change its elevation. So we're going to set its elevation to 0, right? And since the scaffold the whole scaffold is white, so we're going to change the background color for the scaffold as well. So we're going to change the background color for scaffold to colors.white. Okay, and then for this app bar, and we could implement it is leading attribute. So for it is leading, we're going to use icon button. And we have this on press, which is required attribute, but we can leave it empty. And we have this icon attribute, which is also required. We can just use material icon, which is icon start menu rounded. Okay, menu rounded. And color will be our font color. Okay, we're going to import our colors.dar, and we can save. And you're able to see we have this menu icon shown here. So next one will be the title attribute, right? For this title attribute, we just have a simple text. So inside this text, we have which is called all books, and we have a style, which is we're going to change it is color, font weight, and also the font size. So for the color, should be our font color, and font size I'm going to change to 18. So let's save. And there is one more attribute inside this app bar. I think it's called center title, but by default it will align to the left, so we're going to set this center title set to true. So after you set to true, this title move to the center of this app bar. So the last one will be our actions. So inside this action, we're going to have our icon button as well. And we have this on press and icon must be implemented. So I just leave it empty for our on pressed attribute. For icon, I just use a material icon. Icon start search out blinded, right? And color should be our font color. Okay, let's save. Okay, I think it's similar like this prototype, and we can move to the next part. For the next part, I'm going to implement this custom tab. So let's back to Visual Studio Code. Under this pages folder, I'm going to create a custom tab.dar. Inside this custom tab.dar, we're going to create a stateless widget. I'm going to call it custom tab. Right? Import library, make this key runnable. So it's going to define some attribute. So first would be the tab index, and the second one would be the callback function. When you click this one, you will trigger this callback. So let's implement those two attributes. So first one is the integer selected index. So the second one would be the function, the callback function, which usually will be a setState method passed from it is a parent. So we're going to implement this and callback. Okay, let's save. And we could put this custom tab here. So let's save. and we're going to use it in our home.dar. So back to home.dar, and we're going to replace this center widget with a column widget. So inside the column we have a children attribute. Here we're going to define a variable for our tab index. Right. So by default it will be 0. And also I'm going to define our page controller. Be our page controller. And inside these children, we're going to write down our custom tab. Right, we're going to pass the select index, which is this tab index, and also we're going to pass the function, which is setState. You will receive the parameter, which is index. Inside here, we can use our setState method. We're going to set our tab index to the index we pass through. Okay, and also after we call setState, we could use this page controller dot jump to page, and we're going to jump to the index. Okay, that's it. That is for our custom tab widget. So we could start implement this custom tab widget. Let's back to design file. So we're going to first declare a list of array contains those two tabs. So back to this file, and we're going to define a variable tabs. It contains the ebook, also the audios. Okay, and we're going to remove this constant keyword. So we have these tabs list, and we can use inside our build method. So for this container, we're going to give it some margin. We use constant h instance .or, and 20 is enough. And then we're going to, let's see, we have a background color which is little gray, and also have these border radius. So we use decoration, use box decoration. Inside the box decoration, change the color to colors gray 200, and also for its border radius, change to just 5. Okay, so I think we need to implement, we need to define the width for this container. So here I'm going to define the screen width, which we can use this media query of context dot size dot width. We could get the screen width, and we use here. We're going to set this container width to the screen size, and also height set to 56. So let's save. Okay, now it's very similar. Okay, and inside this child, we're going to use a list view, and we render those tabs. So let's create a list view separate it and we have this item count, which would be tabs length, right? For this separator, we could using a sized box and set the width to 10. Okay, for this item builder, we could return a container, but it will wrap with our gesture detector. Then we can change the index, right? So gesture detector, we have on tab attribute, so we're going to call this callback by pass our index. After that, we have a child attribute inside this gesture detector, and we could return the container in here. So for this container, we also have a background color and also the decoration. So we could use box decoration, and we could use color. But first, we're going to check if the selected equals index. And we're going to return a white color. Otherwise, we just return this color, gray color, 200. Okay. And also for it is border radius. Should be border radius. I'm going to set to 5, 6, and I think we don't have any child inside this container, so we can see it. Okay, and let's implement it is child, so you can see it. So for it is child, just a text widget, right? We could access the element in using this index. Okay, we can save it for now. Right, so currently these ebooks get selected, so the background is white. But we're going to change the scroll direction for this list view. Will be horizontal. So let's save. And but also we're going to we're going to style a little bit. You see this when I click this ebook, the background change to white. So we're going to style it a little bit. So for this container, we're going to give margin for this container. We could use constant edge inset dot symmetric. Vertical, give it a 5. Okay, and we have alignment inside this container. We can use alignment dot center. Center those text widget, and also we're going to set the width for those container should be the width minus 40 and divides by 2 and minus 10. The reason I minus 40, the reason we minus 40 because we have 20 in the left side, the padding, and 20 in the right side, and we minus 10. The 10 will be this gap between those two container. And also I'm going to set the padding for this list view as well. So we're going to use this edge inset symmetric, but we only set the horizontal. Right, so let's save. And now you see this one is very similar like this. And you can click and you switch to different page view. Okay, so back to this custom tab, and we could style this text a little bit. So we using this text style, going to change this color to our font color, and also font weight. We could set it to 500. Okay, and import library and make this style constant. Okay, let's save, and I think now is very similar like this prototype, and we can start for the next part. Since we use the colon for this home page, so we're going to use the expanded widget, wrap this staggered view. So let's back to our home.dar. So after this custom tab, we're going to create an expanded widget. Remember, expanded widget could only be inside this column widget, a flex widget, and a row widget. Okay, so for this expanded widget, and for its child, I'm going to use this book staggered GridView widget, which we're going to create. So let's find this widgets folder. Under it, we're going to create a file called book staggered GridView.tar. So inside this book staggered GridView.tar, we're going to create a stay list widget and call it book staggered GridView. Okay, and we're going to import library, make this key nullable, and here we're going to receive the selected index as well, and also the paging controller and the callback function. So let's define those attributes. So the first one will be the select index, and the second will be page controller, and the third one will be our callback function. Okay, and rewrite this constructor, select it, list page controller, and last one will be the callback, or should be back, callback. Okay, can save. So here we're going to import a library for our book staggered GridView, but we're going to pass those parameters. So the first one will be the tab index, right? So the second one will be the controller, so which is page controller, and the third one will be our callback function, which change the state, and we could pass this. We're going to receive an index, and we're going to call this setState method. So inside this setState, and we're going to change this tab index to the index we select. Okay, I think that's it. So we can save. You see we have this grid view, and we could start from this point. Since we wrap it using this expanded widget, so the staggered grid view can be scrolled down, and it won't cause any like overflow error. So let's back to this book staggered grid view, and here we're going to use a library, and it's called Flutter Staggered GridView. So we're going to import the library. Just click this installing tab. We copy this dependence, and in this pub/spec YAML file, after this line 35, we paste it and save. And we can close it and import the library in our book stagger grid view, right? So in here we could use this stagger view. So before we implement any of those stagger view, we're going to first create the book model, which contains different kind of books, right? Let's find the models folder, and we're going to create a new file. I just call it book.dar, right? And you can open this prototype. As you see in the detail of book, we have the type, the book type, the book name, and also the book publisher, the publish day, and also the image for the book, and the score and the rating, the review for the book. So we could follow the same style. Okay, so I'm going to create a class called book, okay. And we have a attribute as we mentioned. I have a type, and we have a name, we have a publisher, we have a date time, and we have a image URL, and we have a score, and we have a rating, and we have a review. Also we have the height for each cover, book cover. So you see we have a different height. So last one will be our height. Okay, and then we could implement its constructor. So the first one will be type, second one is name, and the publisher. So the date, the image URL, score, and the ratings, and the review. And the last one will be the height. Okay. Then we're going to write down a static method which generate a list of book we're going to use in this case. Okay, so contain the attribute we define. So we could just call this method. Then we can get the list of books. So in the reality, you're going to have your own backend, and you return the list of book after you fetch the API. So we can close this book.dar, and in here in this book stagger GridView, we're going to define one more attribute, which is book list. Right? Because in here we're going to show a list of books, so we're going to use the static method. We generate a list of book. So here we're going to import this library, this book.dar, and we could use it is a generate books method, right? And since we are not using any static, we have this data which is not static, so we're going to remove this constant keyword. Okay, so let's start from this point, and we're going to use a stagger view. when you check this documentation, it will show you how to use this one. You just create a widget which is called Staggered GridView, and you can use this count builder, and you pass the cross axis count and main axis count, right? So let's back to our VS Code, and here we're going to give this stagger view a padding. So I'm going to use this constant edge incest or symmetric. I think horizontal. I'm going to set to 20, right? And for it is child, so first we could wrap this page view, right? So for the page view, we're going to pass our controller. So the controller from this page controller, and also we're going to implement this on page changed. So we receive an index, and we could call this callback. So for it is children, we could use this stagger view. It has two children, so we could save it now. This grid view will missed. So for example, I'm going to give you this is our ebooks, right? And the second part would be our audio books. Okay, you can save. This page view actually works. You see, when I click this audiobook, the text turn to these audiobooks, right? It actually works. So we just we just replace this text with ebooks to this stagger view contain a list of books. So for the second one, we could just return an empty container. So basically means nothing. So for it is first trial, we could use staggered GridView dot count builder. Okay, let's implement it is required attribute. So for it is cross axis count, and I'm going to indicate it's a 4, and also we have a cross axis spacing would be 16, and main axis spacing also 16, and also I'm going to define this shrink wrap to true, and physics, I'm going to use a scroll physics, right? And for it is item count would be the book list length, right? For it is item builder, and it will be should be underscore. Going to return a book item, which we're going to implement after this, right? And the book item, we're going to pass the book object. We can access each book using the index, right? So for this staggered tiered builder, and going to going to return a constant staggered tiered fee. I think 2 is enough. So it means the cross axis count will be 4, and each tier will take 2 space, And I think we need to implement this book item because we have arrow in this case, and you can now see those book come up. Let's create a book item under the widgets folder. I'm going to call it book item.dar. It should be a stay list widget as well. List widget, and I'm going to call it book item. And I'm going to import library, right? And also make this key nullable. Because we received the book object, so we're going to rewrite its constructor. This.book, and also for each of the book, we only use its image, right? And also the height. So in this case, for its container, we could just return. Okay, we can set the height, which can from the book height double, and for its decoration, we could put an image in its decoration, so we don't use the child attribute, and we could use a box decoration. Inside box decoration, we have this image attribute. We could use a decoration image. Inside this decoration image, and define. Okay, image. Inside this decoration image, we have an image attribute, and we're going to use access image. For the access image, we could use box.image URL, right? And also we're going to set the feed attribute would be box feed.cover. Okay, let's save. And then for the radius, so I'm going to use the border radius. Okay, we'll set the border radius circular to 60. Let's save. I think that's all, and we can close this book item. Just import library in this book Staggered GridView. So let's save. Then you're able to see a list of book showing here. Okay, yeah, you see these are book with different height, right? And you can swap to this audiobook, which is just an empty container, right? If you click those tabs, it works as well. Okay, I think we could move to the next part, which is this button navigation. For the button navigation, let's back to Visual Studio Code, and we can close this book Staggered GridView.dart file, close this custom tab as well. Still inside this scaffold, but under this body attribute, we can find button navigation bar attribute, and here I just return a method build button navigation bar, right? And we could implement this method. So for this method, we're going to return a widget. So here, first we're going to declare a list of buttons, contain a list of icons. So the first one will be icons home outlined, right? So the second one will be analytics outlined. So the third one would be keyboard voice outlined. So the fourth would be bookmark folder outlined, and the last one would be person outlined. Okay, That's for our buttons. And let's check this one. And we could return a size box. For this size box, the width, we're going to use the screen width, so medium query of context, size.width, and for it is height, we're going to say to 56. For it is child, we could use list view dot separated. For it is item count, just the buttons dot, okay, should be buttons dot length, right? And for it is separated, would be a constant size box. Use width, just set to 10. Okay. And for it is item builder, first we're going to change its scroll direction. Will be axis horizontal, and for it is item builder, we're going to receive a context one, and also, so I think we need to declare a variable for the button navigation bar index. So after this tab index, we could define a button index. By default, we'll select the first one, which is our home, and we could use this one. So we scroll down in this builder. So okay, and we're going to return a gesture detector in this on tab. We're going to call this set state. I'm going to, the set state. We're going to change the button index to the index we received, which is here, right? And for it is a child, we could use a container, and I'm going to set the width. So because we have the gap, which is a 10 gap, we have 4 items, so we'll be use the width minus 40 divide by 5. So we could copy this one. Final width equals this, and you could use this way as well. For this container, I'm going to set the width equals width minus 40 and divide by 5. Okay. And for it is padding, I'm going to set vertical to 10, and also the declaration. But first we're going to check the button index equals index. If it equals, going to return constant box declaration. Otherwise, we just return now, right? So for this box declaration, we have a border attribute. We're using this border. Inside border, we implement a button border size. We have white set to 3. In color, we could use colors.deep orange, right? And we can save. Yeah, it's hard to see the reason because we didn't give those icon color. We haven't implemented that yet. So inside this container, we have a child, which is our icon. Okay, for the icon, we have we could access using button index, right? And the size will be 30. For its color, we're going to check the button index equals index. If it equals, we make it dark purple. Otherwise, just a color grid 400. Okay, let's save. Now you're able to see those. So when you click it, the index will be changed, right? Okay, I think we finished our first part for this ebook application. We will have the second part in our next video. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video until the end. And so don't forget to subscribe to my channel, sum up my content, and open the notification so you won't miss out future latest Flutter tutorial. Okay, thanks for watching. I will see you in next video.